Hello, so let's discuss how to answer questions in Canvas. You may be given a specific assignment like an exam or a homework assignment or a lecture quiz, whatever it may be. There is multiple ways an instructor can set up how for you to answer that question. So the very first thing you need to do is make sure and read the directions before you even look at question one. And then when you get to the questions, you need to read those directions because each question can be set up different. And in this particular scenario, I got 6 different ways I'm going to show you, which I could show you much more because we have more options than that, but I just want to give you an idea. So in question one, you notice it's multiple choice. It says, how many months has 28 days? Well, we know that all 12 months has 28 days. So I'm going to say 12. The next one says true or false. There are 7 weeks in a month. I'm going to say false. I haven't known a month to have a full 7 weeks, so I'm going to say false there. Question 3. You notice we got a box here, right? It says type only your answer in the space provided below. There is no other special instructions. It says nothing about rounding. It says nothing about commas. It just says type only your answer. So how many seconds are in 1 hour? I'm going to say 3,600. And that's all I'm going to do and leave it as that, nothing else. If you notice, there's only one box here, but hey, we got multiple fill-in blanks. That means there's more than one here, right? So there could be a bunch more than that. This one says type only your answer in the space provided below with all lowercase letters. So that tells me no uppercase letters. First one says summer 2022 classes begin the month of, let's say June. I know some may be May. It says summer 2022 classes in the month of, and I'm going to say July. Of course, some may be August. And then the next one says use the equation editor to type or upload as a JPEG your math work, math setup, and answer. So math setup really means that, the setup. So if you type this here, this equation that's given to you, that is a setup. If you are asked to solve for something that requires a formula, you're going to take that formula and you're going to put it in, you're going to put that in your work. However, you got to plug what goes in that formula. You can't just give me a formula and say, hey, that's good enough. You got to tell me what goes in that formula because that shows that you know what goes in there, right? So that's part of the math setup. The math work is actually when we start doing the math, the adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, distributing, derivatives, whatever it may be that requires of the question. And since it says to use an equation editor, we're going to type your work or you can upload it. Well, let's do the equation editor first. Whenever I have a math problem, I always want to make sure and write down my problem if I'm using the equation editor because of the simple fact it's going to block the screen here in a minute. Also, when you write it down, make sure you write it down correctly. Sometimes we get in a hurry and we might have a typo on our paper and that causes our answer to be completely wrong. And if you notice, I zoomed in real close on the screen. That means that there would be more icons showing here. Instead, they're going to be piled up here. You see that? And the 3 dots is what I clicked on. So when I zoom out, some of these here are actually across the top of this. However, let's use the equation editor. So I'm going to click on the 3 dots. I'm going to click on the square root of x and let's use it. So you see it went away. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the equation editor before we get started. This right here, this first one here is a subscript. So let me explain to you what a subscript is. So I can say I have 2 order pairs and my first order pair is going to be X subscript 1, comma. I'm going to say Y, whoops, I got to make sure and come out of that subscript, okay? Y subscript 1. Come out of that subscript. And I could put a comma here and put another order pair and say, oh, I got X subscript 2 because it's order pair 2. Make sure and come out of that. And I'm going to say Y subscript 2. Okay, there you go. I use my subscript to tell which parentheses is first and which parentheses is second. I'm representing it. All right, if I had a power, I can say, oh, I got Let's come out of that. It's 2 to the 8th power, right? And then I would, of course, answer that because we know the value of 2. If it was x to the 8th, it would just be x to the 8th. Then we have our fraction bar for division. We have our square root. This one here is if our root is bigger than 2. So say it's the 5th root of 64, and then of course I can find the value. I did the drop down. I shouldn't have done that. I should just, said equals because there is no spaces on the equation editor. And if you look, we got some more. We got some upper level math. We got our minutes here. We got plus, minus, multiplication, equals. Here's another multiplication, division, multiplication, therefore. I mean, all of these here are used throughout math, are for all real numbers. Greek, we have alpha, beta, gamma, and so on. Okay. Operators. So we have our union. So some of you may be taking a class where you have to state the domain of an area and say that this domain fell around one particular point, but it's not including that point, or it did, but it still fell around it. What I could do is, okay, say negative, and I went to MIS for the infinity. And I'm going to just use 4. And I'm going to say that it unions around that 4. And there we go. There was my union. And there was my infinity. If you have 37 degrees right here, so if it was 37 degrees, get my math number to work. Not wanting to work. 37 degrees. Yeah, it just keeps going down. Sorry. I turned my number key off. It would help if I hit the right ones, right? 37 degrees. It could be talking about a particular point, or we can say Fahrenheit, whatever it may be. Okay. And then we have different symbols here as well. Have another root. Operators, relationships. If we're rounding our answer, we'd use this approximation because it's not exact, right? And there's other relationship symbols in here. We got the greater than, less than, equal to signs, greater than, equal to, and much more. So we have our arrows. These are used in upper level math, trigonometry, we use vectors. And then we have these brackets and symbols too again. Okay, but let's get to answering the main underlying question. It said that we had 2 minus 5. And I don't know why it's not letting me use those numbers. So we'll have to come over here to this number key. So make sure that whatever number key you use, we are using it. It's not liking my number. So what I'm going to do is go back out. Do you notice I had an error? It could happen to you. So I'm going to go back out, come back in, and for some reason, it's not liking my numbers. There we go. Let's use that. I got 2 sets of number keypads on my computer. So you notice if that happens, it doesn't always happen to me. But if it happens, I'm going to go out, come back in. And if that keypad still don't work, I'm going to go to the other keypad and stay away from that one. So I'm going to type up what I see on my computer. I'm going to use my basic math. And let's finish, let's get this up. Let's do my setup. And it was, I believe, 3 squared. And stay away from that number over there. I keep wanting to use that keypad over there. And it was minus 7 minus 4. Okay. There we go. And then I'm going to insert it because the equation editor won't let you keep going a long ways. If this comes back all weird looking, there's a good chance that you have a loading issue with the internet. Also, I want to show you something while we're in here. If you notice, it looks like this. It says 2 minus 5 bracket. I'm going to just type this right quick. Like this, you see how it's changing? So 6 times 3 squared. Okay, so you see it looks different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click that off. So if it goes crazy like that on you and you don't like it, then make sure that there is that directly edited LaTeX is off. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the order of operations. 12 divided by 6 we know is 2 times 3 squared, which is 9. Because we're doing order of operations. Order of operations says we clean the inside of the parenthesis up first. Then our powers come next. And then, and sometimes our powers are inside that parenthesis, so we can make sure and clean that up as well as we're going. And then division and mathematics, or excuse me, division and multiplication is next after parentheses, powers. Okay, so multiplication and division is read left to right, whichever one came first. In this case, it was division, so I did it first. Addition and subtraction comes next. It's our last group, and we read left to right, whichever one came first. However, remember 7 minus 4 was in its own parentheses, so I cleaned it up. So now I'm going to put that down there. And now I've came up to a part that I don't have to use the equation editor anymore. So I got 2 minus 5. And inside that bracket, I have 2 times 9, which is 18. Minus that 3. All right. Now we got to do the inside that parenthesis again. We have 18 minus that 3, which is 15. And now we can say, all right, 2 minus 5 times 15 is 75. Now we can subtract our last step, 2 minus 75, which means I had $2 in the bank and I spent 75. I am in the hole. $73. However, say that you didn't want to type this all up and we wanted to write it on paper and then upload it. Well, we can do that. We can come over here, but make sure it's a picture format, not anything else. It has to be a JPEG. So you can take a picture of it on your device, load it to your computer as a picture, and then come here and click on image and then click on this here and load it. You but make sure you know where you saved it in your picture so you won't be a long time digging for it. So that is that question. Let's go to the last question on here. We have, it says upload your work here as a PDF. You see it says choose a file. This is a PDF. You can't upload a picture there. See the difference between them? All right. So I'm just going to encourage you, if you have a smartphone, get that PDF converter. There's a free app for them, and you could take a picture through that app on your phone and upload it as a PDF, then submit that to your email. From your email, load it to your computer. And once it's loaded to your computer, you come here and click choose file. When you click on it, it's going to take you straight to your computer so you can pull it. You just got to make sure you know where you saved it on there and save it as a PDF file. And make sure that you name it, and make sure on the paperwork that you upload here or here, make sure it has your name, the date, the title of the assignment, and what is the question number, okay? That way it's easy to follow.